Welcome to Buffalo Game Day Recap. I'm Thad Brown along with AJ Feldman. And AJ, this was a game that was stunningly much more close and dramatic and more of a scrape than what I think everyone expected from the Bills against the Giants. They get the win, but I think initial impressions, you will agree from this game, most are not going to be positive from the Bills' point of view.
Yeah, the Bills came into this game as 15-point favorites. They did not score 15 points, yet they still found a way to win the game. I want to find out, there's got to be some live sports bureau to figure out if that's the first time that's ever happened, because I have to imagine it has to be, just to be so futile on offense against a team that you were supposed to blow out of the water and then somehow find a way to win this game. But it was ugly. It was a lot of persistent problems showing up once again, but they don't ask how, they just ask how many, and the Bills are now 4-2.
I would imagine that, like, 1964 football, there was some 10-point favorite that won like 7-0 in one of those like 3 yards in a cloud of dust games. But yeah, modern era football, that would be something I'd like to find out.
I don't know if they had lines back then. So
come on now. They had lines back then.
Well, I don't know if they had lines that they published back then.
That's fair.
I mean, Jimmy the Greek was doing it by himself, basically.
We will not besmirch the memory of Jimmy the Greek on this broadcast. No, but I'm with you. Look, most of this game, I'm on the field following a game. There are a lot of games I get into. Wow, this is fun. This is dramatic. I almost kind of rolled my eyes at the end of this game thinking, well, all right, choice A is the Bills win a game that they had no business, being close in. And choice B is disaster, So I would want to start with a positive, though. End of this game, and I know it's Tyrod Taylor. I know it's Darren Waller and Saquon Barkley, Barkley's one of the better running backs in the league when he's healthy. The 5 games a year he's healthy. Waller is a tight end that used to be good, that I guess still has athletic ability. And then beyond that, it's a collection of just nobodies. So with an offensive line that is, spit and baling wire at this point. So, yeah, it wasn't like they took on the Dolphins. That said, Giants are driving for a win. And as I pointed out, the Bills lose this game, it would have been a disaster, for 1,000 reasons. And this defense that has second-year players or first-year players who are starting at both corner spots in this game, at both linebacker spots in this game, Benford, Elam, Bernard, and Williams, they found a way to get it done. I don't know how much, without going back through film and dissecting everything, any of those guys were responsible for it. I'm sure there were issues those guys had during the game. The 2 runs back-to-back that Saquon Barkley went from the Giants' own 10 to basically the Bills' 30, I'm sure were problematic. But when the Bills needed a play, they got plays from a defense that was missing a whole lot of talent, and I think they should get credit for that.
Down to the skin of their teeth, for sure. Obviously, they drive all the way to the 1-yard line. Taron Johnson makes the play, holds him. You make the ref make that call, and they didn't make that call. That's exactly what you do. I know you talked to him afterwards. You can kind of speak on, his conversation of that, but it was a gritty effort by the defense. They only give up 9 points, which no matter who's playing offense is very difficult to do. Granted, the Giants gave away 3 points at the end of the first half, which then would have led to maybe them kicking a field goal much easily. And we're talking about a whole different game. But, it's once again the defense bailing out the offense, which for a team that has Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, you don't like to hear that phrase very often, but they got it done. And it was a lot of young players, but these are the players who are going to have to be playing moving forward. It's not like, Matt Milano is coming back in a couple of weeks. It's not like they have, veterans returning anytime soon that we think. So it's going to have to be these guys going forward, and they got it done for now.
Yeah. Let's dive into that end of the game play just for a second here. First of all, I love the play call from Brian Daboll. I know some people think he should have ran it with Saquon Barkley. Sean McDermott made the point afterward that they ran it at the end of the first half and it failed miserably. So they I don't know if the Bills were expecting it. Maybe they were, but the logical way to move on is you fake the run and then try throwing a pass. But on top of that, how many times over the last year and a half have you seen the Bills in a goal to go from the one situation and a team tries to run up the middle off tackle and gets totally stoned? So if the Giants have watched any Bills film, and I'm sure they've had, in that spot, the last thing I would do, I don't care who my running back is. It can be Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Jim Brown himself. I am not running my running back straight ahead because the Bills are going to be ready for that. So I love the play call. Number 2, Taron Johnson 100% interfered. I mean,
Yes.
that's a penalty. However, the initial grabbing of the jersey is at an angle to where there really isn't a referee who can see that. The way referees are positioned now, because there's no umpire behind the line of scrimmage on the defensive side, if you do anything to where the only viewpoint is from the football going out or going forward with the offense facing the defense, you can get away with whatever you want. I remember talking to Richie Incognito, a few years ago about he basically tackled a guy, but it was in the box, and there's no referee there to see it. And I'm like, that's a great play, right? He's like, I'm a wizard with that stuff, So these guys know that there are spots that you can get away with things. And number two, to your point, I talked to Taron about it afterward. He said, look, I'm going to play aggressive. Aggressive how I play. I'm going to play aggressive. I'm going to play through the hands. And he's not really thinking about, will I get a call? Will I not get a call? There is strategy there, in that spot with it being the last play in the game, that interfering is better than giving up the touchdown. So, from the 1 yard line, you can interfere 17 times in a row. It don't matter. You keep playing till you get it incomplete, or until the refs decide not to call the penalty. So was it a penalty? Absolutely. Giants fans want to be upset. Go ahead. But as you pointed out, the Giants had 16 other ways they could have won the game and failed on it. And I'm not going to, besmirch the play Johnson made, because, he did what he thought he had to do. There was no flag, and the Bills get a W.
Yeah, and the play before it being pass interference, it probably dissuades the referee a little bit from, throwing the hanky once again. Eventually, you kind of got to let him play, but, Taron Johnson, you play physical, you make the referee make a call. If you want to talk about the play call, I think one maybe pushback you could argue about the pass decision. Tyrod was doing so much, kind of being mobile, moving the pocket a little bit. Maybe you try and give him a chance to make a play as well. Roll out things of that nature instead of just a straight drop back and toss it up to Darren Waller, who, while physically talented and, obviously a big threat at the goal line, didn't really do a whole heck of a lot in this game. 5 for 43, but I'm not going to make a big fuss about them passing over them running the ball.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think, if we want to sit here and spend an hour coming up with a perfect play, I think, having Tyrod roll out and, like you said, get him on the run and give him an opportunity to use his legs is ideal. That said, on the drive before, was it the drive? No, 2 drives before, where the Giants got their last field goal, they had a 3rd and 1, at about the Bills 15, and try to play action with Tyrod on the run, and that failed too. So, I mean, end of the day, the Giants don't have a whole lot of good players, and when you don't have good players, things aren't going to work. Shocking. But I really love the play call, and if we want to talk strategy, I want to continue doing this because this was a fun strategy game. Let's go back to the Bills' decision. You got 3rd and 8 with 2 minutes to go, and you're up 5. I think throwing was a no-brainer there. This is not a team that's going to, get 8 yards on the ground by itself. So you give the ball to Josh Allen, and Sean McDermott said afterward, I like my chances with the ball in the hands of our best player, and that's number 17. So that, to me, is a no-brainer. Dawson Knox has to make that catch. It's not an easy catch. He's got to make that catch, and this is a continuing problem with 88 and 13 to a lesser degree, Gabe Davis. You cannot trust their hands at any time. And Dawson Knox failed to make a catch that needed to be made. After that, though, I would have punted. I thought going for the field goal is the wrong play, because even if Tyler Bass makes that, you're only up 8. The Giants can still tie you, and they're going to get the ball after the kickoff of the 25, which is a comfortable spot. I would have punted, put them back on the 10, make them drive the length of the field. Yes, you lose if they score, but the field goal doesn't get you anything, and your guys already missed one in the game. Don't put them back out in the field to try again in the same spot.
I agree with you on the decision to punt. However, I think you can also take it back to the decision to kick the extra point after they score that second touchdown. They go up 5 with the extra point. You would think you would want to go for 2 to go up 6, because most of the time your scenario is you want, if the Giants go down and score their touchdown, you force them to make that extra point, which, is pretty automatic, but isn't a guarantee. So you want to be up 6. The difference between 5 and 6 is a great deal. And then it turns out later on down the road, that field goal then would have made them up 9 instead of 8, which obviously is much different, because now it's it's a 2-score game.
The one thing I will say about kicking there, and I'm with you, I would have gone for 2 there as well. I can see it from the point of view that with 4 minutes to go, there's still a scenario out there that if you kick there and make it 5 and you force them to go for 2, on their try, you still leave yourself within a field goal. But if you, I guess you would still do that anyway, but you force them to go for 2 to make it a 3-point game to where then you can kick a field goal to tie. If you defend that 2, now you kick a field goal to win. Whereas if you go for 2 and miss, now you're up 4. They kick the PAT to go up 3, and you're still going to overtime with the field goal. Did I explain that right or no? I know I explained it right, but clearly.
I think you did. There's just, I mean, just the complexity in the situation that would require that to actually benefit speaks to the nature that it really wouldn't have helped you that much.
Right. So I think we're all on the same page with that. Okay. Now, the Bills' offense was trash in this game for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we have talked about since the middle of last year, that this offense has become Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs, please save us. And for extended periods, pretty much this entire game, that's what it was. I'll give the Bills some credit for getting James Cook going a little bit. Couple runs in the first half back to back. And then on the go-ahead touchdown drive, they did a nice job of at least getting Cook to get the ball moved far enough so that the Bills didn't get behind the sticks. You know, when you're in 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, you can at least continue running normal offense. You don't have to chase things. And Cook did that on 3 or 4, consecutive series on that last touchdown drive. So good for the Bills. You guys get a cookie for that.
And they did a good job of getting him to 70 yards.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute, too. I'm very excited about that. However, before we get to that, beyond that, there was nothing in this game but Stefon Diggs. He had, I think, 10 catches for 100 yards, didn't score, it didn't matter. He was the entire, when it was 3rd down, they went to Diggs. When it was 2nd and 6, they went to Diggs over and over. I mean, if the Giants had just put 4 guys at Stefon Diggs, I don't know if the Bills ever would have found the end zone. So, although there was enough offense in this game to win, this game highlighted problems on offense much more than it highlighted any sort of success or things the Bills can be optimistic about going forward. You can be optimistic about having 17 on your team. He makes a lot of plays. The run to your right, throw across your body exhibition you put on tonight, although as our buddy Carl Jones would refer to it as, it was not teach tape. It was still a hell of a run of plays, and it was one of the main reasons the Bills won this. But you cannot rely on that when you play a team that can walk and chew gum defensively at the same time. And they're going to get teams that can do a heck of a lot more than that. Philly, the Jets again, Kansas City. If there's a Super Bowl in Buffalo's future, probably the Niners. That'll work against the Giants, who are in the bottom 5 of like a half dozen categories defensively. That will not work against pretty much most of the rest of the league. In fact, AJ, there was one point in the game in the 4th quarter, I tried to make a list of how many teams could the Bills play this way and still win. And I think I stopped at like 5.
Yeah, Stefon Diggs with over 50% of the team's receptions, of the team's yards, of the team's targets. 16 targets on 29 passing attempts. That is, I mean, it's a number that a lot of people kind of point to last year when Diggs wasn't getting going was, just throw it to Diggs every single time. So, they got the ball to him a lot. And another thing on the offense, and it became a big conversation point on Twitter, and I started tracking it incessantly because it just became such an obvious point. Shotgun versus under center. There's so many reasons as to why a play is successful. Did a play actually succeed because it's under center versus shotgun? It's tough to tell when you're watching the game, live. But the disparity between how much things were working in shotgun and how much things were working under center was so great, it has to be pointed out. This is the first half alone where things were really going bad. In shotgun, 15 plays, 39 yards. Under center, 12 plays, 103 yards. They had 6 plays of 10 or more yards in the first half. 5 of them were under center. It was almost like if Allen went out in shotgun, it was not going to work. If he was under center, it probably was going to work. It was that far disparity where why don't you just keep going under center?
So, like you said, obviously there's a lot of reasons for that. Some quarterbacks are more comfortable in gun. I will say, from the Bills' point of view, because I know this has become a talking point, the last couple of weeks, when people are like, hey, look at these plays the Bills hit from under center, there are a number of them that are, well, it hit because some corner fell down, or it hit because this is clearly not the coverage this guy should be playing, and it left the receiver wide open. So now I don't see this game. I don't know yet. But prior to this, it just seemed coincidental that the stupid stuff has happened in favor of the Bills when they've been under center. Now, at some point, when stupid stuff keeps happening, it's no longer coincidental, and maybe we reach that point in this game. But prior to this game, for the Bills got to be under center crowd, I would come back with, well, yeah, if you're expecting to just get coverage mistakes and stupid things go for you all the time, sure, that'll work. Maybe that ended in this game.
And there are even points where it's, I think it was at the goal line, or maybe it was like a 2nd and 1. Their goal line shotgun running. Like, what are we doing? We're stopping all of our momentum here. We're making us get 5 yards instead of get 1. It seems like under center, whether or not it's the sole reason it's working, obviously it's not the only reason why it's working, but let's expand our playbook here under center.
All right. Beyond that, there was the giant fricas. Was that in the 3rd quarter in the end zone? Josh Allen throwing his shoulder into it. Sean McDermott, although he appreciated his quarterback's willingness to stand up for his team, again pointed out that you want 17 to be smart there, especially when Josh Allen is having shoulder scans done after the game. It seemed like everything was normal. Although Josh Allen was by far the last one out of the locker room after the game, no reason to think that there's any serious issue there. I do want to say that the Damian Harris injury, what is it with the Bills and scary injuries? Again, it did seem like everything was as okay as it could be for a guy getting into an ambulance. Sean McDermott said afterward things were headed in the right direction. I want to say that, look, Damian Harris is one of the best men on this team, one of the more inspirational speakers, one of the more happy, positive attitude guys. Not that, I would have less of a hope for healthy return for someone who isn't super happy, but, Damian Harris is a guy that I incredibly respect and really very much hope he's okay. And it seems like it's heading in that direction at least.
Yeah, we got the thumbs up. We got the reports of, all, full movements, arms, legs, things of that nature. But yeah, just to echo your point, anytime, you get him in a press conference, a post-game scrum, anything like that, he always has something insightful to say with a positive attitude. So certainly we wish him the best.
All right. Let's see. Stray thoughts here. Number one for me, and I'm going to let you answer this too. So can you tell me, was Von Miller in the game? Because I really didn't notice him on the field at all in this game. Von Miller played in this game, right?
He did play. Eventually he might do something.
Yes. I'm not in a concern point with that. Who knows how much he's pushing to get onto the field. Remember, he played last week, maybe in part because Greg Rousseau and Shaq Lawson were not in the game. So, it's possible this timeline might have been accelerated a little bit for that. And now you don't want to bench him again now that you've got him out there. As we found out with Trey White last year, just because a guy's on the field after an ACL reconstruction doesn't mean he's going to be able to be a player right away. And, where Trey White's 27 last year, Von Miller's 34. So there's lots of good reasons to not be concerned at all that Von Miller is not doing anything yet, but Von Miller is not doing anything yet.
Yeah, it's definitely a footnote at this point that we got to watch going forward. But at the same time, you're not going to give a lot of snaps, a lot of playing time when Leonard Floyd's doing great things out there. AJ Epinesa is playing really great. Greg Rousseau, to a slightly lesser extent, but is still making a big impact out there. So right now, that's probably the one position they are really deep at. So you can wait for Von a little bit now.
Yeah, Epinesa, by the way, had the one big sack. It looked like to me he just blew around a tackle from the outside. I want to see this one again on film. But, Epinesa as a speed rusher is becoming a thing. Now I'm not ready to depend on it to say that you can put that out there and expect it to happen. But this is a few games in a row where he's been, a guy who's made plays with acceleration, getting off the ball quickly. And again, another impressive play by him.
Yeah, and with a defense that now we think the front four is even going to have to carry even more load when you have more guys going in and out, when they can truly kind of rush the passer like they've got their hair on fire. It's not a bad thing to have.
And as you pointed out earlier, the Thad Brown prop bet in Thad's Three Things is now a perfect 6-0. It's about the only bet I won today, by the way. Missing parlays by 1 yard or one reception separately today. But I had James Cook 70+ yards. He had 71 yards. So for everybody who's following me on Thad's Three Things, the lock has continued. I am now 6-0. And I guess I'm a third of the way from the perfect season. I shouldn't even talk about that. But yes, very excited about hitting that today because they for about 2.5 quarters did not look like that was going to come through.
And plus, you've gotten to the point where you're now bragging and like boasting about this record. Before, you're just kind of like hiding in the background, like, "Hey guys, I haven't won a pick anymore. I haven't lost a pick. I haven't lost a pick." Now you're jinxing yourself a little bit, but you're still powering through.
No, I get to 5 in a row. Like 2 in a row is a coincidence. 3 in a row is a bit of a trend. 4 in a row is like, oh, that's pretty cool. I get to 5, I'm starting to talk trash. Now that I'm at 6, it ain't stopping now. So I don't know what I'm going to get next week for the Bills and the Patriots, but let me tell you, it's going to be a winner, everybody. Check out that 3 things on Friday to find out.
Yeah, so now we got the Patriots and the Buccaneers. So 2 teams where it's the lesser before the really meaty part of the schedule goes, but the Bills got to figure this thing out quick.
Yeah, and the Patriots are obviously a defense that will not allow for the kind of offensive shenanigans that the Bills have been succeeding with. I shouldn't say succeeding. They got a win with it in this game. They did not get a win with it last week in London. So again, you show up with just 2 guys, Bill Belichick's going to make you sweat. Similarly to what happened in this game here. So you're right. The Bills offense needs to figure things out. But on the bright side, they're 4-2, still 1 game out in the division. You got a 5-day stretch where you've got 2 very winnable games, not guarantees. So although there's a healthy amount of gloom and doom on this discussion, 6-2, by the time we get to Halloween, is very reasonable for the Bills.
And this is the thing we talked about before, with the way the schedule played out. You get these first 8 weeks, you want to get to 6-2, 5-3. Now you're getting a lot of road games, a lot of tough teams, things of that nature. So they put themselves in a winnable position. Not exactly the way you would want to get there, but they're doing all right for now.
The math says they're in good shape. The eye test does not. But 6-2 through 8 games is the goal.
It's Ken Dorsey from last year.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the stats are good. They don't look great, but you're getting the numbers, and look, it's still really early. I mean, there's nothing that says that Dalton Kincaid doesn't come back in a week or 2 or whenever it is and take a step forward. There's nothing that says, this offensive line improves to the point where you can run the ball more consistently, do what you did with James Cook tonight, in more games. But through 6 games, the eye test is not encouraging when you want to talk about this Bills team as a Super Bowl contender. Anything else from you tonight, Adrian? Any leftover thoughts?
No, I think we're good for now.
All right. We will shut it down here late from Highmark Stadium. Thanks for watching and listening to Buffalo Game Day Recap. You can find us after every single game at rochesterfirst.com, on YouTube, and where you find all of your podcasts. We will talk to you again next Sunday from Foxborough, one of 2 remaining 1 p.m. kickoffs for the Bills this season. I'm very excited. Love those 1 p.m. kicks. For AJ Feldman, I'm Thad Brown. Thanks for watching and listening again tonight, and we'll see you in Foxborough next week.